Hello and welcome. This is Dungeon 101, and we are playing Stories and Smoke. Now we're going to approach up this way. You can feel the other's presence on the far side of the smoke. You entered the cave with them. You will not leave with them. I never thought it would be so spacious in here, they say. There's a smile in their voice, a smile you know well. No one talks about it. The shaman didn't tell us much. The shaman didn't really tell us much of what to expect, you say. Maybe they don't really know. You talked for some time. You were nervous, both of you, to be here. It's nice having that comforting voice just across the smoke. You're grateful for their presence, a dim silhouette beyond the potent fumes. But you're grateful for the distance too, the separation. Talking with the other helps you settle in, but you can't avoid the reality of the situation for too long. So, they say, you know you should leave, right? Leave the cave, leave you alone, leave you alone? No, they say. I mean, yeah, you'll leave me here, but you should be the one to leave the cave. Only one can leave the cave. That's how it works. Something's supposed to happen first. What about you? Maybe I will. What about you? Concerned. They've always been so conciliatory. What about me? They replied. I came here to help you. They've always been there to help you get through. They're acting as if this is no different. But it is. I suppose we should wait a bit. They continue. The shaman spoke of transformation in this place. Will they let us rejoin society if we leave now? You sit in the comfortable silence for a while, musing on that you could leave at any time. You're allowed, though you'd be condemning the other to stay. Of course, they could leave too, leave you here. It would be hard to convince them to do that. But there's supposed to be a transformation. You have that talisman you made for me. You asked them. Yes. You wanted me to hold on to it. It'll give me something to remember you by when you leave. But what if I don't leave? They don't respond. You wait a while, talk about your days together. You've known them for so long, cared about them for so long, as they have you. You know you wouldn't have survived without them. You know you have helped to give their life purpose in turn. Grew up together, trained together, learning the stories of your people, the triumphs of the kingdom Jilter, the dream spirits the shamans speak to. Trained to be bards, keepers of the stories. You've known them so long. Maybe it's time to move on. That story I loved, that instrument I hated. Oh, I'll go if you remember the story I loved. Bring positivity into this one. You say after some silence. The one about the chicken who went on adventures, they asked, amused. That's the one, you say. Using children's tales like that, you trail off. The joy and meaning a story like that can bring, silly as it may be. But thinking of that makes you think of your training. And that thing makes you think of him. Who's him? I think these fumes are getting to me. They sigh. I'm going to meditate for a while. You might wander a little before you do the same. Interesting. Oh, we're going to go to the main hub. Now we can leave already. Well, let's go to this hub. The talesman the other carries. You don't remember which one of you made it originally. You have both carried it. It's a reminder now of who you were, who you are together or apart. Survivors, guilty, storytellers, still figuring it out. Survivors and guilty makes it seem like the story that they've come from is like a terrible background. Like it's not a good story. Storytellers just feels so, how do I put it? Like, just because, right, your identity might be of a storyteller doesn't inherently mean that that's all you are. So we're gonna go still figuring it out. You're still figuring out who you are. Isn't that why you're here? Interesting. The shaman stands before you. Did they enter the cave with you? Are they allowed? Well, it doesn't look like they're real. What are you doing here? You're just a vision. What are you doing here? You ask them. You invoked me, they say, their voice floating in the thick air. You wish to speak. Did I ask. Tell me about this ritual. You chose to participate. Well, did I? Or, I mean, the game started and I was already in this cave, so I don't know if I chose to participate. I think I was given no choice but to do this. Humor me. The shaman nods. We are predatory beasts, the feline kin, hunters in ancient times. We would sometimes hunt each other even. This is the nature of death. Sometimes something has to die for others to live. A disruption to society. We're just a part of ourselves. We've evolved beyond the predatory instincts of our ancestral youth, but the need remains. Any transformation requires sacrifice. I don't know if I agree with the idea that transformation needs sacrifice, though. Transformation, right, may sometimes include sacrifice, but does it always require sacrifice? I think that's a more interesting question in its own right. But any sacrifice must be voluntary. You volunteered to come here. You know the reasons. You know the price. Whether change will come is yet to be seen. But is it voluntary? Right? Obviously, we started here, and obviously, right, this seems to be like a ritual of some kind, right? Like it's a ritual or one doesn't get to leave this place. But then that arises the question of, like, are these things really voluntary, or is it an expectation? Right? Society, right? Like, if we think about, like, livelihood and our lives, right? Society places expectations of how we should act, how we should behave. Is this really any different in terms of this situation in the game? Right? Society places expectations on us with the declarative statement that it is voluntary, when the reality is it voluntary? Probably not. But here, transformation is possible through introspection, through communion with spirits that surround your life. Only one of us can leave, but I can leave at any time, and that's fair. I could leave at any time. But I could leave any time, right? What if there is no transformation? The shaman shrugs. The spirit cannot be forced to change. And I think that that's also a true statement, is change is complicated. But then why have this expectation of a ritual where one person can stay and one person cannot? Okay, let's go back. Let's approach that. We will look left. We'll check out what this says. Florian Silverstring, this collected tales of Biggles the chicken. Children's stories, the ridiculous ones at that. But they always seem to have a message to them. One even you could learn from and appreciate. This book brought you such joy as a child. Still does. It led you to training as a bard, to sharing stories and spreading messages. Hope of kindness, of change. This is interesting, right? Hope would suggest, right, like, hey, right, good futures to come, right? Kindness to do good unto others. A change is unpredictable, right? Because change can be that of bringing forth hope. It can be of bringing kindness as well. But it can also be, hey, the good times are not always going to be good every single time, right? Good times become bad times. Things change. A constant is never always going to stay in place forever, right? The world is ever changing and it is never going to be perfect. And I almost feel like, while of hope is like great, of kindness is important. And stories, right, and those elements should be things that we push and strive for. That we should be hopeful, right? We should bring kindness upon others. But we also have to recognize that the world is the way it is, and that we need to bring forth change because we could always do better upon the world. That does lead to hope of kindness, right? Because the status quo can only last for so long. Of change. Change is inevitable. You adapt. Can you adapt now? And that's a very good question, right? Asked to make the choice, where one of us gets to leave, and it appears to be my character that's going to be the one that leaves. Is that right? Is that wrong? Does my character want to leave? I think that's a question of nothing there. Okay, there seems to be something else in that area. Okay. Nope. So then I'm pressing 2. Okay, begin meditation. You sit on the meditation dais and try to get comfortable. You learned to meditate long ago, as all of your kind do. But this is different. Meditation is best done when studying oneself. Here it is dark. It drives home that this is different. This is special. A time for reflection, for introspection, for change. This place, this ritual, whatever transformation is supposed to happen. After all, you are here voluntarily. You could leave at any time. You agreed to come here in the first place. What's going to happen? Why haven't I left? Why did they want to stay? Why did I come? And I think it's really interesting, right? Like, we're given the option to think about, like, hey, ourselves. And in a part of that, it seems like this is what part of this is, right? Introspection, right? We should be thinking about how we grow ourselves, right? We have a little control of what the other individual ends up doing in their lives. And while I might think, hey, do they deserve their own redemption? Absolutely. But I think the question is, who are we? Because obviously, I think that's a piece of why, right, we've chosen to do this expectation of society, of doing this ritual. So, why did I come? It's the way these things are done. Something dies so something can live. If you had avoided it, the wounds would have lasted. You close your eyes tighter. Focus on your breathing. But the answers did not come. Not yet. Interesting. Alright, well, we'll head back to the main hub. We'll approach the other. As you approach the smoke-filled room once more, you can feel the other's presence on the far side of the chasm. This is a chasm, isn't it? That's interesting. Once again, it's a comforting presence. But having been here now for hours, nervous anticipation has given way to a kind of looming dread. Maybe it's the fumes. Maybe it is. How are you feeling? They ask. They've always been good at checking. I almost feel like, right, like, it seems like there's a worry of, like, I'm already getting that from our character, that, like, and I think that there's a part of this that's, like, also, like, I'm a believer that, like, when we talk about how we're feeling, how we're doing mentally, we shouldn't lie to ourselves and say, fine, as if everything is hunky-dory. And maybe sometimes we are, like, doing fine, right? We're doing well. But we shouldn't be lying to ourselves about how we're doing. So I'm going to say worried. Worried, you say, about what? We could say me, we could say you, but it really is an us element, right? There is a connection between these two characters, it seems. You hear a smile in their voice again. No matter what happens, one of us has to come through this, okay? You know, they say, we should talk about him. The dread is looming. No longer. It's here. He is ultimately why you're here, though. You can't avoid that forever. Your mentor, the man who taught you everything you know about being a bard, who prepared you for your role in this world. Or at least, it was supposed to. You did learn a lot from him. Instruments and oratory stories and histories, and also what kind of person not to be. In many ways, he did make sure you who you are. And who you are is, now, a conflict with the society you are part of. Well, I'm not gonna avoid it, but what is there to say about this guy? Then snorts. There's so much to say. I wouldn't know where to start. So you speak of him. You and the other talk in vague terms, avoiding the things you should say. It's not too long before you tire of it, though. You excuse yourself. They go to meditate once more. Let me guess. This is him. Your heart shakes, bouncing across the emptiness that dwarfs the cave. Your blood is like ice in a frozen muscle. Your mind catches up to what your body already knows. There he is, smugly propped up in the hallway. Of course, he'd be standing right in your way. You open your mouth to sling in a quick barb, to knock him down. Witticisms were your shared passion, an art form in which you outshone your teacher. Instead, you manage only to stutter before he cuts you off. Ah, come to seek my wisdom again, pupil. Well, what have you got to say for yourself? He's all teeth, giving you that mischievous grin of his. You're a narcissistic piece of crap. I don't have to explain myself. You're in my ritual. I used to think your games were fun until my life became one. Ooh, that's powerful. You open your mouth, but you don't get the chance to speak. Great thoughts, I'm sure, he interrupts with a chuckle. But why don't you try telling me what you actually need to say to me? You rejected us, abandoned us, you hurt us, you abused us. Ooh. The words catch in your throat and threaten to strangle you. We know what the cost of your wisdom is, he finally snapped. What you did, it isn't right. We couldn't let you do whatever you want. You don't get to do whatever you want anymore. Mostly sad now. Ooh. You overcome with grief. Seeing him breaks your heart. Despite everything, there's a part of you that misses him. Misses who you were back then, before. His face changes. He stares at you with a mixture of anticipation and resolve. Say it. Whoa! We killed you for what you did. We turned our backs on you. Well, let's go direct into it. I have a feeling now I'm understanding why they might be here. They may have done something that wasn't pleasant. Killed you for what you did. I'll never see you again. You'll never stand in our way again. That final declaration, his apparition dissipates. Wow. I've always had complicated feelings about swords. Seeing this now makes your stomach turn in a quick loop. The blade that killed your teacher, Your sword. Wow. Perhaps his death freed you, as you hoped it would. But did his death destroy you too? Or did he destroy you when you stare blankly at the blood-soaked metal drifting out of focus? Violence. It's strange. Now that you know it so well, it oozes like oil and combusts like it too. There's no telling what will be stained and what will be burned once it's unleashed. Violence was the only answer. I don't think violence is always the answer in life. Escalating violence is no answer. There was a price that had to be paid, but paying it with more violence will only make things worse. That's why you're here after all. You're the one that's here now. You and the other for what you did. You couldn't resolve your problems with him. Now you must resolve your rift with the people around you. The people who loved you. The people who loved him. Let's go check this out. The Book of Children's Stories. It inspired you to become a bard, but you forgot that he gave it to you. Wrote a note in the front cover. The book was a source of hope once, but now it inspires regret. Oof. It's marred by his presence, but he is one of your stories now. You can transform this symbol. Ooh. I love the idea of transformation, right? That a bad moment in your life can become something else, right? Obviously, I don't think that you should lie about the story that you experience in life, but a bad thing can be a lesson too. I'm going to take the transformation. You know symbols are important, but they can be transformed. Perhaps the reason you are here is to transform this story. The story of him and you. No. The story of you. Oof. Claim your autonomy, not be defined by him. That's beautiful. Alright. Meditate. You sit on the dais once more. The shaking from your earlier encounter has finally subsided. Though you are not yet sure if meditation will come. You try to clear your mind, to focus on your breathing, the sound of it, the feel of the air filling your lungs, but you cannot block out his face. The words you spoke aloud for the first time. You can't remember. You did what you did, and you're here because of it. Took back power. Ooh, I really love the line around we took back power. Right, that's a declaration of, I won't be controlled, right? I have my own agency, right? My own autonomy. I am my own person, and that's powerful. Moving on now, it won't ever be fully resolved. We'll leave what happened, right? That's not really advancing anything, right? Taking back agency is important. You took back power, but there was a price, and yes, there was a price. And I suppose I'm seeing where that shaman is like, hey, the sacrifice piece is like so important here. And it's like, I don't know if I agree that sacrifice is always necessary, but also having your own agency is also important. But there is a price. Your connection with him is broken, for better or for worse. Do you regret it? Or would you do it again? Ooh. That's also some like really great questions, right? And I think that like if it came like, and I think it also comes to like what type of person. Obviously, like the character in the game, right, killed somebody, but I don't think that like I could never do such a thing. Right? It's also like why I would never be able to join like the military because I couldn't fathom the idea of doing something like that. So like for me, right, in playing this character, there would be like intense regret ultimately. You focus on your breathing in, out. Alrighty. Let's approach again. You take your time making your way up to the edge of the platform. The other is waiting for you across the curtain of smoke. You take a deep breath. The other exhales loudly, letting loose to their own lungful. We did what we had to do. It's your fault. It's my fault. I'm not so sure. Did we really have to, you ask? He's dead. We. There must have been. The interrupts you with anxious babbling. We'll have the rest of our lives to contemplate that. But it's not why we're here. Not entirely. Ooh. It's your fault. It's my fault. I was the one who struck the blow. You say, your mouth dry. You take time to form the next words. I want to take responsibility. There's no changing the past. You both know it. What happened and what happens next, the other says, it goes beyond just you and me and him. There's strength in their voice. What he did, it doesn't happen in isolation. The isolation. The worse the abuse got, the more alone you both felt, until there was nobody left in your lives. The community knows what happened now. This ritual is, at least partly, to help everyone else come to terms with what you have known for so long. And that's what I mean by this wasn't volunteered. This was forced. This was societal expectation. We are going to end one existence. It's an eye for an eye situation. One life will end. Except in this case, right? Two. Two people will disappear from this. Is that really just? Is that really justice? And I think that's up to the individual person to interpret. But I don't think that that's justice, right? To lose more and more for the sake of meeting some sort of societal expectation. Yes. Should justice be done? Of course. But is the best approach to eliminate somebody and eliminate more? I don't know if that is. I think that that's a way that we can cause more and more pain out there. Sensing your darkening thoughts, the other changes the subject. They will all be gathering at the obelisk, waiting to greet us, they say. The obelisk is at the center of town. Every community has one. On it are written the stories that shape your culture, tended by the rune sages like your village chieftain, interpreted by the bards who retell those stories, allowing meanings to shift with time and context. He used to sit with you at the edge of the fountain, challenging you to recite the sacred stories written on it, each time differently. You resist the urge to mention him again, however, and refocus on the other. I may feel unfair to have to think of them too, after all that happened, but we have to. That's the price of the change we've been given. A new start, the chance to decide who we've become, to not be defined what was done. What he did hurt us, so we fought back, stopped him. It felt like we were alone, like all we had was each other. But our entire community was hurt by this. There's truth to the other's words, wisdom too. There may be magic at work, but this ritual doesn't work without a good community. We need to think of them, and if we cannot rely on them, then we need to find a community that we can. With that, they sigh. Alright, I'm gonna rest a while. You should take some time too. Alrighty. Make our way on over here. Pile talisman, like the one you and the other made. These ones are discarded, left here. Some lovingly propped up, others haphazard. The remnants of others who have been through this cave, perhaps, through this transformation. You don't have to make a decision yet. Consider what you might do with yours. Give your talisman to the other. Keep it. Ensure that it stays in this cave. Or discard it. I kind of want to give it to the other, right? Like, if I am going to end up leaving, right? Isn't there a part that should stay, right? To say that a transformation happened, shouldn't there be an element of the past that carries forward to the future? It belongs to them. It will have more meaning to them. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if that ends up being that final decision there. The chieftain of your city, a woman you didn't know well until recently. A rune sage, the rulers of Joyter, who tease world-altering magiques from the runes carved into their obelisks. Runes that sit side by side with the stories the bards keep, retell, and reinterpret. You feel almost done here, she says. She sounds more confident than you are in that, but maybe she's right. Ooh, thank you for helping me. Will this really help me? I almost feel like we should give thanks. Thank you for helping me, you say. You mean it. She helped you begin to rebuild after him. It was strange, but perhaps fitting, that a rune sage would help you reframe and purify the toxic teachings of the man who trained you as a bard. She nods to you. This is a vital step in the process of healing. You understand that? Yes? I'm telling you, this was not a volunteer project here. This was a societal expectation. Before you get to respond, she adds, there is much more that is left to do before things are set right. But first, this. Tell me why again? Your relationship with your mentor, your needs as a person, you, and the other, has created a rift, a schism within our society, with everyone else around you. Whether it is your fault, or whether you are clearly at fault, That schism exists, and it must be repaired for a society to function. It's not about punishment, but it is about punishment. It is. Not for anyone. Justice does not come from punishment. It's about transformation. This is a punishment. Of sorts. Obviously, there's still like a transformation element, but does society ever truly re-accept you for the wrongings that you do? Right? Like, if this is like an alternative proposal for like prison or like for other things you do wrong in society, does this really become like an answer, or is it really punishment disguised as like reform? Because after all, right, you have to make a sacrifice that leads to someone else not coming out of this. Acceptance of yourself, acceptance by our people, everyone being able to see a path forward together. This new path will transform you if you're well supported, and if you share your gifts with the community. This will enrich and transform us as well. What about him? What about the other? What about the other? What about the other, you ask? Only one person may leave. One person of clear mind and clear intent. One person to be accepted back into society. So, is she saying that she wants me to return to society, but not the other? That's interesting. Meditate once more, child. She smiles at you, all warmth. Speak your last of the other. The time of your decision nears. Wow. Then we're now going to head back. Make our way over here and check out what's on the table. You were supposed to travel before all this happened to complete your training. You planned it out already. No roaming the countryside. You were going further than anyone else from your village. Crossing the ocean to bring back new stories from distant lands. Ooh. How can I hear other stories before figuring out my own? Ooh. Is that still what I want to do? I feel that's important. Understand yourself is important. How can you hear other stories before figuring out your own? Moreover, how can you honor other stories without finding a way to honor your own? That's powerful. As you sit on the dais once more, you can feel a finality to it. You have a decision to make. One of you must leave, and one of you must stay. You breathe in and out. You focus on your breath, the feel of it, the sound of it, images of the things you have seen and said pass through your mind. The other seems willing to let you go, but are you ready to let them stay? Do you deserve to rejoin society outside? Don't they? You did who you are, who they are, who you are. One of you will leave, rejoin society, be welcomed back by them. One of you will stay forever. You focus on your breathing. Oh, the music stopped. We're definitely at the end. You're in the rhythm now, but it's not an easy one. The other stands by. You attempt to approach the things that remain unsaid, thoughts hanging more thickly in the air than the fumes and smoke. But you're afraid, so instead you breathe deep, as deeply as you can, taking the fumes into your body. Each breath confirms that you are alive. Across the wall of vapor, the other breathes in time, in sync, but not in sync for much longer. It's almost time now, I think, they say flatly. Do you know what you're going to do? They hasten to add. I still think you should go. Ooh, wait for them to continue speaking. Should leave, I should stay. You hold space for them, perhaps for the very last time. Holding space for each other was one of the most important things you did to support each other, though imperfectly. After a lengthy pause, you hear them chuckle before adding, I know what you're trying to do, and it's nice of you, but I'm not saying another word until you decide what you want to do. I'm leaving. The words seem to echo and reverberate in the cave and in your head. Your brain hurts a lot. Next, I'm glad I convinced you, they say. What will you do now? I like you and I'm sorry. For what it's worth, you begin. They finish your thought. You care and you're sorry, and you wish there was another way, right? I know. Sorry, they quickly add. That sounded harsher than I meant it. Look, they sigh. This process won't be easy, and the ritual is just the beginning. But you can turn this into an opportunity to make your life what you want of it. You don't like who I've become, they continue. Oh, this is for the best. I mean it. I want to be someone new. I can do that by being a part of this. Interesting. To save the wishes for yourself. And more than my worst mistake or my greatest pain. And what I choose to be in response. I hear your words and I'll hold on to your wisdom. You're ready, they proclaim. I will still take responsibility, though. Even though you're staying, I will take responsibility. This isn't your burden alone. I won't abandon you like that. I'm glad, they say, giving you one last time to remember their characteristic smile. I want to tell stories to Hale. We use my gifts and skills to heal. Maybe I can prevent others from feeling this pain that we know. Or maybe I can help others to recover and grow as we have. Also, going to finish my training. It won't stop me from becoming a bard. I'm relieved to hear that, the other says. I was hoping you wouldn't give up on your dream. Going to travel, you say. Not sure where yet. Maybe I'll take the boat after all. But I know I'm going to travel. I want to see this world. I will return to the community. I'll still try to make a life here. If the community will have me back, I suppose I'll find out soon enough. I have faith they will. And if they do, don't forget their trust and kindness. I'm not gonna say those two things, though. You said all you're gonna say. That's it. You prepare to go, but suddenly you notice a talisman around your wrist. Of course. I want you to take it, you say. Remember me when you see it, and I will always be with you. You toss the charm through the smoke. It is done. If you insist, they say, through their own tears. Okay then, our paths diverge at last, they say. My request of you is this: live well, never stop growing, change in wonderful, surprising, exciting ways. You can hear the smile in their voice through their tears. Transform your life for the both of us. And with that, they fall silent. You know they will not speak again. That's that's powerful. You walk away from the platform where the others stood, away from the smoke and fumes, towards the light of the cavern entrance. The light blinds you momentarily as you exit. You feel the cold alpine breeze on your face. You hear the birds in the trees and the chatter of villagers who gathered, keeping watch. They grow quiet as you exit. The shaman looks at you and smiles. The villagers open their circle as they walk towards them, welcome you in. The shaman opens their arms and speaks the final ritual words. You merge anew, alone. By what title will you be known? The survivor, the changed, the regretful, the gentleman bard, the lady bard, the citizen bard, the storyteller, the storied, the reconciled, the wanderer, the exile. I'm gonna go with the changed. Changed, you say. The shaman nods. The villagers seem pleased with your answer. You leave in their company towards the obelisk, where the rest of your community waits for your return. The well-worn mountain path you ran along as children feels new, exciting. You breathe deep. Well, that seems to be the end. This is a beautiful game. This was like really enjoyable. So I will be including this if you want to have your own playthrough, see if you can come up with a different pathway. Obviously, I think that there probably is a choice where you get to stay and a number of other, like, there's so many different choices, it seems, that like there's a lot of different possibilities, it seems. So if you liked what you saw, please feel free to give a like and subscribe. It really does help. With that being said, Dungeon 101 signing off.